We tend to, in my training programs, attract the best healers, I believe, in the United States and throughout the world. And so we get a lot of people that don't have great business skills because they're so heavily weighted on the healing side, whether they're an acupuncturist, medical doctor, chiropractor, naturopath. They really understand the healing aspect of it, but they didn't have an equal or similar amount of training or understanding about how to run a business. So there's several ways that we can shorten the learning curve for practitioners as they're building their practices. I think there's two sides to it. One is that we have a very clear, simple clinical model that they can follow. So they know what to do with every new patient, where they're going to start. They know what lab tests to order, what supplements they're going to use, et cetera, ahead of time. So not reinventing the wheel with every new patient. And then the second area is in business development and business practice building, I guess you might say, practice management. So we can help them understand what kind of staffing needs they're going to have, how they're going to develop lab tracking mechanisms, how they're going to do proper follow-up. I mean, you can bring in a new patient and help them dramatically. If you don't have adequate follow-up in place, you could lose potentially 50% or more of your income and also not have a clinically beneficial program simply because you fall apart on the follow-up side. So in terms of what mindsets work in terms of practitioners understanding how to shorten the learning curve and how to create a business, I think the most important one, I asked this question the other day in class. We have maybe 15 doctors on the call, right? And I said, okay, put up your hand if you know what your margin is. And then I kind of took this question back a step and I said, put up your hand if you know what I mean by what is your margin, right? And so we have people, 15 of them on this one particular call, running a small business, not even understanding the most basic small business concept, which is that there's a profit margin and that we should all know what our profit margin is. So I think that some really basic business skills are lacking. Very few of our students that come in have a business plan. They don't even know what their margin is, meaning they don't know exactly how much money they're making or how much they want to make. And so there's just a general confusion, I think, amongst folks about how to set up and run a business properly, and what should a margin be for our industry. Every industry has norms in terms of what the margins should be. Certainly ours does. And if you're not falling within those margins, then your profitability is really not where it should be. And then you need to rethink your business and start to develop. And this is one story I like to tell a lot, which is that I had a huge clinic in Del Mar, California, and we were doing maybe $1 million, $1.5 million in total income and revenue. I wasn't keeping all that, right? And the margins on that were somewhere around 20%, meaning that I gave away 80% of the money I was bringing in to paying staff and rent and all the other expenses that I had. And so at the end of the day, on $1 million business, my income wasn't that large. And what I'm working with now in my own practice in the present day is around the same kind of income figures, but with a margin that's around 60%, meaning that I'm able to keep 60% of the money and 40% of it goes away to expense. So understanding these basic concepts, I think, is really key. And if you don't get coached on this, it's just not going to all of a sudden come out of a medical textbook and leap up at you in the middle of your biochemistry class or something.